sé cómo Shiguarada encontró este lugar, pero ahora está lleno de natofúricos.
Los ejércitos de porquería y podredumbre son bienvenidos. Eliminarlos servirá para fortalecer nuestros rituales.
Ahora dices eso, pero cuando Shibu se canse de jugar con la comida mostrará sus verdaderas armas. Y todavía no estás lista para eso, ni remotamente.
Porque te amo, pero no dejes que puedan demandar. Me voy a cerrar un diente por hacer esas cosas más. Ay, amigo, ¿qué le tienes la lengua? Me acordé de la caperucita roja y nos poní que esa lengua tan grande.
Es mi pariente íntimo.
Ay, qué linda. Y que a mi la cosa se la sabe o sea, habla porque ya valió.
Yo te vuelo de él, yo siento que soy tipo. Soy feo, pero no hay peores. Déjame decir.
Qué feo de que tal cuatro en casa que nosotros.
Ese es mi control.
Pasa que, por ejemplo, he dado con personas, a lo mejor criticas mucho, sí, pero que acabas de decir físico. Entonces, ahora que mi hijo me dijo de la aplicación, le dije, bueno, me voy a meter así como de gorras. Empezamos primero con los mensajes, que no se conocíamos totalmente.
Pero aún se mandaron fotos.
Pero físicamente no nos conocíamos.
Porque luego mandan fotos de
Entonces le ponía yo mi filtro. También no te hagas,
Entonces digo, hay que mejorar un poquito. Hay que poner la percha.
nos conocimos, llevamos
Año y medio ya, mal un mes.
y para vivir juntos, ¿cuánto?
Mira, sobre todo, sí. Más pero ese momento de la fiesta, hasta que yo me toque la madurez, ya hablaríamos ya.
O sea, ¿tú crees que esta relación de Disney y Sony es como mucho?
Para el niño, siento que para nosotros sí, pero siento que para él todavía
Ay,
le
sí, ya tiene películas en la video, ya con 19. Pero es que todavía vive conmigo. Hasta qué bueno.
Magia, ahí la tienes. Esas malas son tiraron más que todo lo que tú sabes.
Y eso que la veo cada fin de semana.
Tanto ahorita me decía, mamá, vamos al cine. Le dije, no, o sea, voy con mi hijo, a la vuelta y la mañana vamos al rollito eso de estoy un rato con Julio, un rato con el hijo, y ya en la semana, pues a mis ventas.
Ay, qué padre. Y también una vuelta. Y claro,
Oigan, pues miren, todavía no, ya también no pueden decir quiero nomás poner ahí y te aseguro los precios. ¿Qué pasa? Claro. Ok, o sea que si yo les digo que necesito sacar a los campos y te gusta la paso con el utilizador de estar muy popular. A ver, y bueno, pues ya que lo tengo aquí desbloqueado. Telegram. ¿Para qué usas Telegram? Hay personas que aseguran que Telegram es una red social para los infiernos. ¿Qué opinas?
Mira, yo personalmente
Gloria, Facebook, ¿quién es? ¿Qué fue? ¿Tú envías el Facebook?
Si te fijas, casi todos los que están ahí.
Está guapa esa Gloria, dice que cuidado con las pelirrojas. Que cuando una mujer está de pelirroja, mira, que hay una pelirroja que lo puede comprobar, ¿verdad, amiga? Comprobado científicamente. Entonces la Gloria, pero no, nada que ver. Sí, pues no hay una competición.
Prácticamente tengo un trabajo. Oye, ¿qué tenemos en esto?
Hay esta aplicación de hipnosis
Se supone que noticias para relajarte.
hola, hola.
Amiga, amigo.
y si descubrimos que te hipnotizó, que por eso te enamoraste de él.
¿Qué dijo? Hola, ¿cómo estás? Ay, imaginarás, no, la verdad.
Con los ojos de
La primera vez que me canto.
Cálmate. ¿Compones o cantas con él?
no, no bajar. Yo no soy como aquellos que quieren mantos de su vestido. En la
Oleadas de esclavos, librados de sus cadenas por la agonía, le traes gloria a la condena.
Nuestros métodos se alinean por ahora, pero tu gloria será tu fin.
Soy Roberto.
Ay, qué broma. No, pues ya vi cómo te conquistó. ¿Cuál hipnosis? A puro cantarle en el oído. Está padre, cantas muy bonito. Bueno, creo que tienes puros, hay muchas gracias. Y es que luego hacemos que yo, o sea, nos ponemos ahí en la casa, ponemos la bocinita, el micrófono y ya cantan.
La pizza y mágica y qué profunda, ¿no?
Sí.
Y es que en las manos adecuadas siempre serás arte.
Así es, así es.
Ah, bueno, tiene puras fotos de animales, memes, todo es arte, todo es
Dale
arte.
chance, dale chance, Liz, perdón. Dale chance.
¿Qué es?
Uy. Cuando ando en las redes,
Hay cada beso que te avientan.
cada imagen que te avientan, que
A ver,
bueno,
no mames, ¿cómo subió?
no, pues se guardó, si te fijas ya tiene un buen de tiempo. Ya tiene un buen de tiempo.
Pero la tienes, la
Sí, pero no soy mucho de los que limpian.
y la tienes.
Ya, sí. Igual, Dani, si quieres, estaba
O sea, ¿por qué tomaron esas aplicaciones como de mandarte?
los packs, es que, digo, igual como podremos encontrar una semana. Sí, sí, sí.
Sí, amor.
no es. ¿A dónde van a ir?
¿Ahorita? ¿De acá?
No, aquí para los boletos.
Ah,
La persona dice
está
que
en Puebla. Todavía no tengo.
¿Quieres salvar tu relación y no sabes qué hacer? No vamos a poco. Tenemos productos de tecnología, cómputo y gaming. Ahí Ay, yo no me acuerdo porque yo también sé. Es que mira, cuando trabajo no se apasiona, o sea, no podemos agarrar el trabajo y hay gente que ni se ondea. Ah, no, eso sí te manda. Pero ahora veo que los años no pasan en falta. A todos seguramente nos pasa bien. Pero si no hubiera sido por la teléfono, ya ni hubiera enterado. Voy a necesitar tus servicios. ¿Quieres para ti? El formateo y limpiada completa. Te digo que tiene años que nadie les mete mano.
Tiene cada escritura.
Mis hijos salen de viaje, entonces mejor. Ah, estos hijos salen de viaje, no como el tuyo que no va a tocar de los jamás te cuenta de los toda.
No, lo que pasa es que quiere, la verdad es que mantengo esa clienta, porque la verdad es que le daba bastante trabajo, pero...
Ya sabes que mi trabajo es garantizado y como la cosa se la prueba, repito.
Sí.
A él, a ella.
o sea, tú le estás diciendo a ella, o sea, tú te estás llevando con ella. Ay, Julia, tienes las pinches fotos ahorita, los mensajes, no te pases.
Es que,
O sea, no te pases, Julio.
mira, si te fijas a todos, y la mayoría de mis clientes, sí, van por, prácticamente, por ofrecer el servicio, y aún así, incluso te lo doy afuera de punto, muchas veces afuera de
Julio.
Fíjate que dejar que los pongas más rápido. Y venga, y se venta antes de que acabe la película, ¿no?
Pero primero hay que ver
Ella acaba de poner, porque ya no te lo conozco, porque
mira, esta clienta atrevida, pues sí, pero tampoco puedo perder.
Sandra, ¿quién es Sandra? Ya estamos a casi el viernes, feliz jueves. Que este día se llena de morir a mi solución. Bendiga tu día, bendiga tu vida.
No es ni de acá, ella,
No existe la vida perdida. Ni a mí me encanta lo mejor de mí todos los días.
mira, a la mayoría de mis clientes, ella no es ella es conocida, de acá,
No importa tu infancia, este ratito es para ti.
a ver,
Ah, y si viviera... No,
si viviera acá también no. No has querido
Renueva tu fe en el camino de la espada portadora de la luz.
a conocernos.
Alicia. ¿Quién es Alicia? Lluvia de bendiciones para ti y tu familia. El brillo de este nuevo día no depende del sol, sino de la sonrisa que sale de tu corazón.
Ya, me da ganas de irme. Estoy quedando en ridículo, neta, estoy quedando en ridículo. Ya,
Ok, amigo, vamos con tu celular.
Es que
Porque ya vi que ya te quieres ir antes de que te vayas, ¿no? Ven, amigo.
Yo te presento a cada una de las personas. Tú no has querido conocer a ninguna de las personas que incluso clientes. Te he pedido a veces, ¿sabes qué? Alcánzame en tal. Muchas veces no es que sea una...
Parece que ahora se tomaron unos meses más.
Pero vamos a
Ah, no, es tuyo, mira, desbloqueado. Este sí es, amigo, ganar dinero porque te reviso los increíbles. Ya somos personas más. Es lo que lo digo, pues, pueden entender muchas cosas, pero... Yo no tengo problema. Ay, qué guapa, mira.
pero que no tiene personalmente.
Yo me hice la base, o sea, con el cabello blanco. A la gente le gusta más con la base blanca. Está guapo. Yo creo que lo que le hace falta a tu hijo es una buena novia. Ok, está bien, ya me lo ha dicho. Para que me deje en paz, pues. Ay, amiga, ¿aquí dónde andaba? Día de la Constitución. Ah, tomándose con el padre más mamado. Yo no le veo nada de malo. Yo no le veo nada.
Déjame decirte que soy
Y esta piñata de bolera. Bueno, que cierto. Sí. Pero parecen novios en la foto, amiga, viene abrazada de la cintura. Tu novio era que dices que es tu hijo, pero en realidad no, sí es mi hijo. ¿Te imaginas que fuera tu pareja y que te digan sí? Pero no siendo muy chica. Entonces, te aseguro ni estrella tienes. Tengo la pantalla, tengo todo. No sé, por eso es raro que un hijo pueda hacérselo esto. Pero, ¿por qué? ¿Quién es él? Ok, bueno, es un estudio. Ah, ok. Sí, es un estudio que tú me haces. Ay, ¿me lo pongo como tú? Pero bueno. ¿Pero cuándo llevan ustedes de relación? Yo digo, el 12 de mayo del 2020. Como que le dio su regalote de Día de las Madres. Ah, y todavía recalcas que lo quisiste mucho. Y por eso lo viste. ¿Qué te regaló el Día de las Madres? Ah, esa foto montada.
¿Y esa foto qué?
La foto que salió, amiga. Pero fue de las anteriores. O sea, y ni te pudiste recordarlo, le hiciste screenshot, ¿o qué pasó? No, simplemente ahí te va a cambiar el celular y se pasaron las fotos viejitas. Eso es lo que me pasó. Juan Carlos, ¿quién es?
¿Quieres enseñar el sencillo de él? Yo me dedico a las personas que igual a comprar ropa y
pues aquí no aparece nada de ventas, porque le dice, pues primero eres médico y después el psicólogo. Y ayuda mucho, la verdad la vida no es fácil, se acumula toda la presión, pero a la larga esto no parece nada que tenga que ver con ventas. Aquí estás aconsejando sobre su vida personal. Bueno, lo que pasa es que Juan Carlos. O sea, del chico que te... Me duelen las piernas cañón. ¿Para qué te dice? ¿Para que le hagas un masaje en los muslos? No, simplemente pues platicamos antes de poderle yo vender algo. A ver,
de mantener siempre una situación.
pero debes darte tiempo para ti. Ay, pues sí, pero normalmente todas siempre te está
A ver,
hablando.
se supone que en una relación siempre hay los que porque hay el amante. Pues aquí tienes un amigo. cuál es la capacidad o el entendimiento que tienes conmigo.
Pero son mis clientes. A ver,
Compréndelo,
Julio.
o sea, no.
Con mis amigas, porque puedes checar entre mis amigas y me platican toda su vida.
Como amigas hasta se platican lo que no, pero con un hombre.
¿Qué tiene?
Tony Alonso, ¿quién es?
También es un amigo.
Yo sé que tienes muchos conocidos.
Sí, tengo muchos amigos,
de ahí,
precisamente por el negocio, por la
tipo de
fiesta.
conversación.
Jorge Piscini, ¿quién es?
Es un compañero.
¿Y por qué se pide Piscini?
No sé.
¿Es italiano o qué?
Pero no, es un abogado, es compañero también. Y su niña vende ropa igual que yo. Su niña también vende ropa igual que yo. O sea, compartimos eso.
Ok, ya vimos las fotos, ya vimos Instagram, mensajes de texto.
Ay, ¿de qué?
Diana 2, ¿quién es?
Mi hermano.
¿Quién es? Pillo, León, Corazón, Fuego.
Ah, mi hijo. ¿Cómo? Es mi hijo. O sea,
Yo le digo Pillo.
le digo pillo. Es que le digo pillo. Porque es bien pillo. O sea, es muy tremendo. Es mi hijo.
Ok.
O sea, no hay nada ahí. O sea, buena onda, no hay absolutamente.
Javier, ¿quién es? Te deseo. No sé qué hice para que no me adoptase. Mira, que a mí te quiero.
A ver, no. Lo que pasa es que yo ya no le hice nada. O sea, lo que quería ropa para su esposa y él siempre pedía la ropa.
Ese de la foto, Coquelina. Ese de la foto que vi el 12 de mayo. Lo reconozco por la nariz. Lo reconozco por la nariz. No puedes marcar, te mando muchas cosas. Ojalá no te acuerdes. No me acuerdo, ¿verdad? ¿Quieres el amor de mi vida? El último de mis poemas, donde él le desea una excelente semana y le dice que no sabe porque no la tiene. Julio, adivinen cuál. Julio. Las 4 mejores amigas, la familia millonaria, el evangelio de hoy. Claro. ¿Cómo ando aparte de qué nota? ¿Quién es más poderoso?
Omar, ese chico que le compró la ropa, el chico de dormir, es un proveedor así, yo le compro la ropa.
¿Quién hace mi vida?
Es un proveedor que trae la ropa. Julio.
Bien, corazón. ¿Y tú? Yo bien, bien bueno, pensando en ti. ¿Qué se arma hoy? Ayer terminé de madurar tu acá, me encantaría verte hoy, pasa por mí. Planeando como a las 8 o 9, mejor venimos a mi casa, pedimos de comer y nos quedamos el rato en la cama. En la cama.
Que son nada más y ni siquiera son.
Y le compré un regalito.
Más que eso. Invítame a la casa. Yo tampoco estoy yendo.
En el parque de siempre. ¿Cuál es el parque de siempre? Pero ¿cuál es el parque de siempre? Hermosa, tienes compromisos maritales y también vas a pasarla con el hombre. Es que ya sí, mujer de verdad. Cerca. Me quedé con ganas de más la última vez. Vamos a que se dejan con ganas.
Cuando te veo los fines de semana, o tienes que ir con el hijo, o que tienes que. Yo te lo respeto, pero con él sí estás todo el tiempo. Los
Lleva
míos son
chocolate
mensajes.
divino y nos guardamos. ¿Cómo se guardaron?
Nada, o
Ay, ¿qué guardas?
no, estamos jugando. Es un
Soy
juego.
tú. O la neta soy el único
¿Me acompañas
güey
al mecánico
que
y
te
te guías
está
con el
dando.
lazo? ¿O nos jalamos para mi casa?
Ya, por favor.
Mejor primero paso por ti, ya pasamos por el vino y esas madres.
Ya, no, ya, hablamos
¿Qué más? ¿Qué la casa?
Chiquita, ya vente con tu proveedor.
Entonces, te ayudé, te he estado ayudando.
Ay, sí, mi amor, pero de ropa. ¿Cuál? Si pura lechita bronca te doy.
¿Eh? ¿Qué cosa?
Y la ropa más bien te la quito. Y te la rompo a veces. Porque eres bien muy buena mentirosa.
O sea, soy hasta un güey para él.
Y te compras taquitas.
Soy el surtidor, soy el proveedor.
¿Qué haces con un que no te quede rico?
Y nunca has querido, yo no entiendo.
Siempre te pasó la vida cara que yo no te
Viendo
pude
con el
dar.
dinero porque no te está dando el apoyo. Discúlpame, pero no has estado apoyando. Me encantaste, ¿no?
Que porque tú tienes dinero y que la consientes mucho, que por eso está contigo.
Oye, ¿cómo te paga eso? Soy el único que paga este negocio. Soy el único güey que te mantiene. Quítatela con este idiota.
Bebé, le voy a decir a Julia que yo quiero semana con mis amigas y podemos irnos a la playita. Ya quiero amanecer contigo. Julia, cada vez no te duele. ¿Y cómo le duele? Pinche quejito con la chapa. Mis dedos siguen oliendo así. Pásame el teléfono.
Eso, mira, sí, es que todo lo que te he dado, yo soy tu güey, seguiré siendo el güey
Sí, ¿ya viste? ¿Ya viste lo que me suena?
No, discúlpame, pero a ella le agradezco.
Tenías que venir al proveedor con las pañitas. Sí, ¿qué tal? ¿Cuál es el problema? Porque tú no la ves. No me importa. Toda la vida se ve todo esto, niña. Toda la vida se duele la pinche rodilla.
Me vale madre lo que me duela, trato de mantener una buena relación.
En vez de que le compre la pomada de champú a la mamá, en vez de que lo ayude, ahí lo están criticando. En vez de
Quédate aquí
cuidarlo.
con tu chingadera. Yo, en este momento,
No me importa, no me importa.
tú, de aquí en adelante,
Para nada. No.
síguete vendiendo, por lo menos véndela bien, que te mantenga.
Pero si sabes que el proveedor, o sea, realmente eso es lo que quiere para casarse contigo. Realmente no está interesado en ti. Pero no es que me importe eso. ¿Qué carajo va a pagar lo que no debo ahorita? Se factura la cosa. Yo lo pago. Ay, amiga, yo, de verdad, yo pensé que el infiel iba a ser él. Ahí te va. Yo cuando te vi entrar,
tributo a la pena de la colmena.
Pensé que realmente venía una artista, pero no pensé que fueras tú. Yo te conozco por medio de mi hijo, conozco tu programa, pero la verdad no pensé que nos fueras a cachar, neta, te lo juro. O sea, no sé, pensé que él iba a ser el fiel.
O sea, no me vas a presentar a tu hijo, es lo que me estás diciendo.
Está muy cabrón, la neta.
Bueno,
¿Me ayudas a pagar mi hijo?
sí. ¿Quieres 500?
Sé que los
O sea, ya me quedé
narcotráficos han
sin
puesto en duda
suegra,
nuestro
me quedé
plan.
sin novio.
Pero confía
En
en
un
él.
ratito se
Ella
desplomó mi
conseguirá
vida
llevarnos
porque la tenía
adelante.
construida para siempre.
Nuestra
Ay, no,
hermana,
de verdad yo no
llamada
puedo con esta
con
desfachatez.
cada
Todavía de que te estamos tachando, que andas de suripanta, que eres una furcia de lo peor, sin vergüenza. Todavía se pone a echarme la culpa a mí. A lo que hice mi deducción con los mensajes de que ella le decía que si cuando andaban y que si no sé qué. O sea, el vato obviamente solamente la está utilizando. Ah, no. Y de seguro muchos que me están viendo en este momento son de la Picale. Su ex les manda un mensaje. Ay, van de arrastradas. Morras sin dignidad. Si estás viendo esto, es porque tú sabes. A ver, pon un corazón negro aquí para saber que lo viste. Porque no hay nada peor que ser el ganado activo de un exnovio. Ay, no, qué horror. Vamos a continuar. Vamos con los chicos primero, porque luego los chicos son más divertidos. Es que saben que me he dado cuenta que aquí en Puebla hay un montón de hombres, pues ya saben, que se hacen pasar por heteros, pero realmente no lo son. Y me sorprende ver una pareja que sean hombres como afrontados, así que muy bien. Amigos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos, ¿cómo se la están pasando?
Muy bien, soy fan de ti.
Ah, ¿en serio? ¡Qué padre!
En Acapulco Shore y todas las demás.
Ay, cuando yo no estuve en Acapulco me dieron...
Sí,
¿Quieres más?
o TV, no recuerdo.
Ah, bueno, pero no era...
Ah, bueno, ya está bien.
Quedaste.
Qué chido.
¿Y qué? ¿Cuánto llevan? ¿La miraban juntos o qué?
Somos cuates, nada más.
Ah, no son pareja. Pero si se ven bien enamorados, así, y rastian, amorcitos de los dos.
No, nada más seguimos aquí amigos.
¿En serio?
De verdad.
Bueno, ¿algún consejo para las personas que son infieles?
Es un infiel, pero la pareja, digo, si están por alguien, pues es porque realmente la quieren, ¿no? Si no la quisiera, ¿para qué estarían con ella?
¿Tu amigo?
Que cuiden su teléfono.
¡Ay! Que lo cuiden de mí. Novia, futura novia, velo bien, vele la cara para que me cuentes muy bien. Bueno, amigos, pues un gusto. Sigan la pasando muy bien. Amigos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Provechos. Qué guapos. ¿Qué andan haciendo?
Pues nada, no venimos aquí.
¿Y de aquí a dónde? ¿Por qué está tu camisa? A mí me encanta que los hombres se sientan así de que seguros usando flores, usando rosas. A mí me gusta
No me gusta verlo así.
Siempre ha sido así.
Sí, es por 3 meses.
¿Y qué opinas de las personas que juzgan? Porque yo tengo amigos así que, o sea, yo de repente a mi novio les he dicho que, tú tienes que pensar cómo se ve. Y he visto cómo su familia le hace comentarios de, no sé. Entonces, ¿a ti no te ha pasado?
Pues, yo creo que eso no define. O sea,
Pero, o sea, ¿cómo lo manejas con la gente que critica nomás porque
pues,
puede?
hay que tomar cosas de quien viene. Si,
Claro.
si quieren vivir en el siglo pasado, muy super.
Pues sí, es esto. ¿Y cómo te llaman, amigos?
Yo me llamo Oscar.
Oscar.
Maritza.
Y Marisa. Oiga, pues mucho gusto, yo me llamo Lisbeth. Y ando buscando parejas en...
Yo he visto tu programa.
¡Sí! ¡Ay, qué padre! ¿Y qué opinas?
Pues,
¿Era?
pues es que yo veo que premian la fidelidad y pues creo que venimos a premiarlo.
¡Exacto! ¡Esa es la actitud, señores! Sí, estoy ofreciendo 500 pesos a cada uno. Es decir, 1000.
Sí.
Con esos 1000, ustedes podrán
Sí.
o irse a donde quieran.
Pues podemos llegar primero con la que tiene nuestro trabajo.
¿Qué?
Pero pues ni nos hacen daño. No nos podemos casar aquí.
Exacto.
¿Cómo ves, Oscar? ¿Estás listo para pasar la prueba de la fidelidad?
Pues ella dice que la que nada debe, nada teme.
Ah, o sea, ¿a ti te preocupa que podamos encontrar... ¿Se me fue tu nombre?
Vale.
¿A ti te preocupa que podamos encontrar algo en el celular de Marita?
No, no va a encontrar nada.
¿La perdonas o la dejas? Si encontramos algo.
Las cosas como vienen, como van. Ahora sí.
O sea, tú eres así de que cero apego.
Bueno,
Oh, perdón.
vamos a ver.
¡Ay, qué nervios, qué nervios! A ver, ¿con quién comenzamos?
Pues saca tu teléfono.
A ver, Oscar, porque luego aquí borran, luego hay gente que tiene bien entrenado así el meme y con eso borran, ¿no qué? Así de que lo mueven. Ok, qué nervios, ¿con quién comenzamos?
Pues con el mío. Para que vea que realmente yo no escondo nada.
Porque tienes Tinder, amiga. Claro, es cierto. Pero estuvo cerca, ¿eh? No, ¿quién es Jen?
Ya ir, ¿no?
No, Jen.
Bien. Ah, ves, una chica que me vende como.
¿Bien exacto, reducido o amplio? Exacto. Ah, claro.
Tengo algo para dar. Sabas dijo que si llegabas hasta aquí, tenías que hacerte escuchar una de sus predicciones. No lo mereces. pero es como si ella estuviera apoyándote.
Mi reino esconde secretos dentro de secretos. Si logran usar la luz y la oscuridad para develar las ilusiones, es porque han prestado atención. Está claro que el poder corrompe. Y cuando esos escandalosos guardianes se enreden con magia compleja y rituales de la colmena, todo se empezará a volver muy extraño. Ya quiero ver de qué son capaces.
Ahí tienen unas palabras amables de sábado. Sé que a ustedes, los de la vanguardia, les encantan los refuerzos positivos. Personalmente, creo que Shibu aplastará a Eris como a un insecto. Estaremos todos condenados, claro. Pero al menos será divertido verlo.
Ella se dedica a vender.
Yo soy su proveedor, ella tiene una tienda.
Ok, Arthur, lo que sí me di cuenta es que Chris atraviesa su mano en una parte y se ve su sombra que está jugando atrás de ti. ¿Quién está jugando su sombra atrás de ti?
Ah, es de algún video que me estaba ayudando a descubrir.
¿Por qué no te dices ese video?
Sí, en mi canal de YouTube.
Ah, o sea, tú no estabas consciente de que ella hacía videos.
No.
De seguro hasta OnlyFans tienes, amiga.
No, no, para nada. Él me ayuda a editar mis videos.
El que Arturo está celoso. ¿Tienes Chris? ¿Tú te vas a Chris? ¿Cuánto llevan de relación?
4 meses.
No, es tu hijo.
¿De quién?
De Arturo.
O sea, Chris está enamorado de ti.
No, no,
Ay, ¿qué encontró aquí? Estoy muy confundida. ¿Qué está pasando?
sí, bueno, Arturo me ayuda a editar los videos.
Ajá, ya dijiste 5 veces.
Bueno, en el video apareció Chris.
Ajá.
Ah,
Tienes razón. Jania, ¿quién es?
Estoy atravesando.
¿En qué tiempo acabaste tu bachillerato?
¿quién es?
Estilísima.
¿Quién? No estoy hablando.
Daniel MH. ¿Quién es?
Ok, a ver, la cosa va a
No entiendo el teléfono.
Sí. Pero bueno, nosotros podemos hacer parte de esto. A ver, que eso no va a ser mejor. Resulta. Os voy a contar el chisme de la carretera. Ay, no sé, me va a caer el teléfono. Ay, no, es que no quiero. Ok, está muy abajo, por los barrios, el lugar donde vivo. Y chalala. Es que iba llegando al estacionamiento y hace falta que pues, mi cabeza era de no solamente aquí para llegar para dar unas vueltas. No es otra. Entonces llegó un pato que me da un beso. ¿Sabes cómo comunicarlo, obviamente? Pero dije, güey, o sea, mi tiempo valioso, no tengo oportunidad. Y ya no le dije, como atrás, no, como para que pueda regresar. Y mira, tú sabes que yo lo voy a regresar. Pues también, o sea, como ni siquiera Guardián,
Gracias a tus incursiones en la espira de Satán, se revelaron los experimentos de la reina bruja y conocemos todos sus secretos.
Tu progreso es admirable. Magia de la colmena entretejida con la luz. La dominas con cada aliento de la espira. Pero no pierdas de vista el objetivo. Shibu Arata aún es la amenaza más grande. Y los tributos a Eris tienen límites.
Todavía no los hemos alcanzado. Aterrorizas a la colmena. Una y otra vez les muestras que no entienden todo por completo. Me escuchaste pronunciar su invocación. Aya significa lo que se dice debe ocurrir. Es una conclusión. Un símbolo final que indica que el argumento anterior se demostró válido.
Como si fuera una prueba matemática.
Eres la lógica que lo comprueba. Y nosotros la verdad que infiere. Ayat.
No puedes seguir haciendo esto. Tarde o temprano terminará. Recuerda que de ti depende cuándo suceda.
Picale no tiene nada, ¿ok? Picale tampoco tenía nada. Solo y si no está haciendo su drama. Y entonces, bueno, ahorita yo le dije como, bueno, pues que donde estuvimos hablando, que habla tu seguro y yo le hablo a mi seguro. Y ya. Pero yo decía como, o sea, si no tienen acceso a las cámaras, obviamente porque las tienen hasta administración, o sea, que menos se puede resolver, ¿sabes? Pero el tipo me quitó mi placa de mi carro y eso me molesta mucho porque está muy molesta, ¿sabes? No sé cómo dejarlo, o sea, me molesta. Pero bueno, yo le hablé a la policía. Ni modo, o sea, si no me lo resuelven, tengo que escuchar a la policía. Entonces, pues este va a estar muy chido. Nunca me voy a tener que dejar esto, pero el chido va a estar preparadísimo.
O sea, tú sigues así de compras a 10 de siniestro.
Sí, sí, vendo cosas y aparte tengo mi negocio.
Carlos, ¿quién es? Ah, no te acuerdas. La mala memoria. Hola, buenas tardes. Ok. Alfredo, ¿quién es?
Igual, haremos otro bien.
Hola, espero no molestar, solo para comentarte que tengo escrito algunas oregas, por si porque es una oregas. inventan algunas cosas.
A lo mejor no tiene público.
Tiene espacio. No soledad, es obesa. ¿No será que se lo van un clave y que se van a dar hasta por las orejas?
No.
Es que luego así son los infieles. Se inventan códigos, se inventan palabras, momentos, lugares.
No, son amigos de la cuenta. Yo no sé bien.
Entonces, ¿quién es Fermín? Si no eres infiel.
Es un padre.
¿Y por qué le mandas su tarjeta? O sea, todavía te deposita. Todavía que ni siquiera le dices papá, que le dices padrastro y te anda manteniendo.
No. Me pidió que le llamara.
Pero supuestamente mis papás no tienen una relación.
Pero él es mi padrastro, no mi papá. Es muy diferente.
Mamá 3. ¿Tu mamá sabe que tienes otras dos mamás?
No, pero tiene muchos números.
Oscar Ventas.
FM.
¿Y por qué dice Oscar Ventas?
Porque se dedica a las ventas, él es mi proveedor para mi negocio. Yo tengo
Oscar
un
Ventas.
shop
O
y
sea,
él me provee el
¿Y hace cuánto que acá?
Pues yo tengo mi negocio desde hace 5 años y él me empezó a proveer hace 2 años.
Ok.
Interesante ritual que
Ya
realiza
se acabaron los
Jinx
chingazos.
al entrar al lugar.
Pero no. Arturo, una cosa son los pequeños favores que te pido. Ahorita te vas a quitar unos minutos extra. Muy diferente es que hagas tus obligaciones.
Interesante ritual que realiza.
O sea, existe la calistenia y la verdad es que cuando me acuerdo y la practico me siento súper bien. Ahorita tengo unos dolores, la verdad, y es porque juego, trabajo, me despierto, descanso o algo, pero nunca me dedico específicamente a mi cuerpo. Pero, por ejemplo, simplemente hacer como tipo calentamientos aquí en mi cuarto es súper útil mientras veo una película en vez de estar sentado. Obviamente este vato pues está aprovechando sus ejercicios de respiración para hacer algo conceptual, que sería eso de rodearse de su esencia y tomar el ritmo. Sí, porque me ha tocado que el chef del restaurante Marina Grill allá en el Hotel Coral Marina, cuando lo he visto parquear esperando atrás de mí para avanzar en el semáforo, empieza a tirar unas nubesotas de humo, o más bien vapor con sus vaporizadores electrónicos súper avanzados. Que por cierto, mañana me toca de nuevo en ese restaurante, no sé por cuánto tiempo, pero estuvo bien, como pizza muy a menudo, preparada por mí. No todo es teórico siempre. En este caso parece que cuenta hasta hipotéticamente quitar de la ecuación incógnitas que representen un gran riesgo. Por ejemplo, lo de quitar las impurezas de la superficie de la llanta, que siempre puede estar 100% libre de ellas. Y al mismo tiempo, pues que el motor esté lo mejor posible y que se hagan pruebas de compresión y eso para que pierdan la menor cantidad de cilindros, porque cuando hay una irregularidad que se hagan las pruebas necesarias con los mejores resultados posibles para perder la menor cantidad de cilindros, porque esa variación puede hacer que el gato pierda el control realmente. No solo a veces es la tracción o el viento, sino algunos otros factores combinados con los existentes. Pues es como la teoría que existe de los dos, por ejemplo, de que si existe gente buena, y yo creo que se estaba proyectando gente que nunca haría daño y que prefiere hacerse daño a sí mismo que a otras personas. Y existe la posibilidad de que entonces haya personas malas también, realmente malas, que no les importa lo que hay y probablemente hasta busquen el mal. Bueno, pues en este caso ese perro de seguro antes fue humano también. Ese humano reencarnó en ese pitbull por suerte y ahora anda suelto por ahí haciendo su desmadre, pensando que es un patio trasero, así que nadie nunca lo podrá detener porque es un perro y pues de qué le sirve a la gente que esté en la cárcel. Aunque hay mucha gente que preferiría sacrificarlo si es que realmente es peligroso. Imagínate que se hiciera con solo un voto: sacrifiquen a ese perro. No es seguro en las calles, pero la verdad es que es un proceso largo y casi siempre queda impune. Muchos accidentes pasan y la gente vive con miedo de salir a su calle porque hay muchos perros sueltos por alguna razón. ¿Qué onda? Oye, por cierto, es que ese chef tiene un BMW. La neta, tiene tantos pinches números que me valen verga, ¿no? Los modelos del BMW, pero es un BMW chido. Y otro compañero, un cocinero, también tiene un BMW de esos, hoy, pero lo tiene un poquito más customizado, así como a su estilo, no sé, más trepeado. Y recientemente lo vendió en 50,000 pesos a un compa, que pues todos somos compas, ¿no? Así, todo lo que se está mencionando. Lo vendió en 50,000 pesos y él, pues es que había comprado unos como 2 meses, me dijo. Y pues hasta ahorita lo trajo, ¿no? Que ya vendió el otro. Y es uno que resulta que tiene un motor de 6 cilindros y twin turbo. Entonces está más chico que el otro BMW. Y pues hoy en el semáforo igual, ¿no? Y ¡pum! Llegó bien acá. A la verga, volteé por el espejo y ahí está ese güey. Y ya lo vi, pues era un BMW diferente, ¿no? O sea, era gris clarito, en vez del otro que es gris oscuro. Y yo, a la verga, ya me quedé guachando y así como que, ¿qué onda, qué onda? Y dije, ahorita va a empezar también a pinche aventar pinches bolas de vapor, porque el gato, pues, antes de bajarse ahí, a meterse a checar y todo, pues se pega unos plumazos y puf, puf, puf. Y tenía calcamonías de eso en su BMW pasado. Imagínate que tienes dos BMW, pues ya, el vato triunfó. Me dan ganas de pedirle dinero para comprar un Play 5, pero le dije, nada, me queda como un mes, hay que esperar como un mes para eso. Y así. Pero bueno, el punto es de que el vato empezó a acelerar y yo también, vi 7,000 revoluciones en mi tacómetro, ¿no? Y de repente empecé a ver humo acá, a la verga, ¿qué pedo? Ese no es mi humo, ¿verdad? 7,000 revoluciones. Y ya después le pregunto al güey, ¿qué pedo, güey? ¿Tú estabas quemando llanta? Sí, güey, no mames. Dije, bueno, dice que está tirando humo y aparte pues olía a llanta, entonces por eso le pregunté, pero dije, si es un pinche empaque que valió verga, güey, yo inventándome problemas, ¿no? Pero ya me fui, pues al seguro le pregunté, güey, sí, tú quemando llanta. Atrás iba un BMW negro Z4, güey, convertible, también nuevo, no más nuevo, pero bastante chido. Iba una morra y yo le hacía señas así de que, ¿qué onda acá con el BMW de atrás? Y aparte, pues la morra, ¿no? Y ese güey, bien engranado. Písele, güey. Y ya, pues, de ahí salí lo más rápido porque como yo estaba enfrente, pues me quería quitar su camino porque si había carrerita, pues ya salí bien. El vato que le pise, pero el pedo es de que enfrente de mí, un vato cambió el carril y pues valió verga, se me atravesó, ¿no? Entonces ya me fui leve y aquel vato pasó por la izquierda, güey, y luego se metió así enfrente. Ese vato se fue derecho. Y ya pues ese vato se fue derecho, no sé. Pero el Z4 también, güey, pasó acá como que alteradón, acá como que lo así cagamos. Y atrás un pinche Camaro que nadie nunca había pelado, nunca en la vida. Un Camaro de los, pues no tan viejos, sino nuevos de esta generación. Así de negro, acá tirando una madre humo. Y yo, ¿qué pedo? Ese güey negro, ¿qué pedo? O sea, que la escuela era entre nosotros y pues ahí lo chido, pues de que eso trata un poco, ¿no? Pero la neta, sí, en el pedo de que me llanta atrás de mí porque pues yo no me espanto, ¿no? Pero la otra vez mi prima publicó un video de un carro que estaba así acelerando y se le, como que de repente se empujaba a sí mismo hacia el carro enfrente y dije, aguanta con esa madre porque pues el vato enfrente si no sabe qué pedo, pues se puede asustar, ¿no? Pero pues yo creo que me voy a asustar con esas mamadas.
Porque es lo que te toca. Y se te hace fácil ignorarte como siempre y bloquearme, ¿no? Apagar los datos, ¿no? Qué lástima. Pensé que eras muy diferente a tu papá, pero eres muy parecido, ¿verdad?
No, no es tanto.
Oscar. Sí, tú. ¿Sí? No, pero... ¡Te dijo Arturo y ni siquiera te diste cuenta! ¡Ah! ¿Qué viene bien? El domingo. ¿Y no te diste cuenta? Otra señal de que ni siquiera ves tus mensajes. Si le damos para el hecho de pedo, no, Arturo.
Siempre ignoran. venderme para mi negocio.
Julián es mi competencia directa, en este caso. O sea,
¿Tú también me dices?
sí, es un proveedor de
Es lo que...
productos eróticos. O sea, resulta que tenemos un pendejo.
No me meto con él, me ofreció sus productos. Que es muy diferente.
Necesito probarlas. Sí, para ver si te gustan y las vendes. Te llegó un regalito, una pomada mágica que te hace multiorgasmo.
Son los productos que él vende, son los productos que él vende.
Rico, pues. Hoy te vas a ir como Bambi, recién nacido a tu casa. Tus productos son muy buenos. Si me convences, te compro todo lo que me vengas a mostrar. Van a hacer más que convencerte. Eso espero, porque tú serás mi nuevo proveedor. Ya quiero deshacerme de Oscar. Ya no le pienso comprar más. Porque, mira.
Bueno, es que la verdad, pues, él ofrece productos mejores, de mejor calidad.
¿Por qué le dices para que me des unas maquinitas?
Doña Madre Teresa de Calcuta tiene pecado.
Bueno, o sea, se me pasó este mensaje.
Ajá.
Iba a ser para él,
Ajá, a mí también se me pasó.
Y bueno, me equivoqué de chat, me equivoqué de chat.
Encima del calabozo de la reina bruja. Sin duda guarda uno de los secretos de sábado. Revélalo.
O sea, y justamente con ese...
Esperemos a ver si tú realmente lo tienes en tu teléfono. Yo espero a ver si cierta vez, como la más.
El 8 de julio, tío, sé que te llegó un mensaje de Marisa. Pensé que ibas a venir. No, pensé que sí ibas a venir. Ay, qué conveniente. Ay, amiga, ten tu celular, porque entre tus no me acuerdo y entre tus me equivoqué y entre tus yo no supe de Ay, bueno. La más, la señorita conclusión, vamos a poner.
Sí. Necesitamos la estira está abierta para nosotros. Iremos a donde nos plazca.
Ni siquiera sabemos qué hay aquí.
Un generador de imparo, que es la reinterpretación de Sabaton de la lógica de su hermano.
Ve con cuidado, guardiana. La cámara está diseñada para confundirte.
Ok.
Supérala.
Ay. Con tu Instagram. Puros hombres, amiga. ¿Y tú? Pensando que él iba a ser infiel.
Bueno, quién sabe, quién sabe.
Amigos, o sea...
Excelente domingo, señor de los pectorales. ¿Quién es el señor de los pectorales?
Pues uno vende productos para...
¿Y por qué le dices?
Pues porque simplemente así nos llevamos, es muy guapo. Sí, sí, sí. Ay, digo, o sea, si tú, a tu amiga, pues cuando te pones...
Pues
yo
yo
no
no
pienso
aquí,
mal.
quizás te llaman nada más.
Sí, lo que quieras, pero ustedes no saben.
Mi madre decía que cuando salía un grano significa que aún eres joven, tal cual adolescente. Te recomiendo que pongas en la zona afectada un poco de óxido de zinc. Te ayuda a quitarlo perfectamente. Déjalo actuar 20 minutos y enjuaga. ¿Quién es Kedward?
Es un buen amigo.
Buen amigo.
Por Instagram, sí.
O amiga disfrazada de amigo.
No, es un buen amigo. Él se dedica a cantar mucho. Y canta muy bien. Es el que me va a presentar.
Vamos a ver ahora tus fotografías. Porque tienes una foto de Silvia Pinal que te gusta este crush.
Es que sí, como que tengo un... Sí, un
Explícanos.
Sí.
Oye, ¿y este guapote está screenshot listo y todo? ¿Eso es el señor pectorales o
¿Quién te señor? Como para que te
No, o sea, y no digas que
porque te llama la atención.
A ver, estoy dentro de esto, pues lógico que necesito.
Pero no
pues,
vendes productos.
Sí, que las techeras, que todo eso. Y pues muchas veces a los clientes pues les digo, güey, o sea, así te puedes ver.
¿Quién es este?
O sea, es un modelo de parte de una compañía.
El pelón del micrófono. ¿Qué hiciste con el pelón?
Muy padre.
¿Y este quién es? Tiene tanta sonrisa.
Ah, es mi cantante favorito.
¿Cómo se llama? Oye, tú sí que tienes algo con los pectorales, ¿no?
Es parte del trabajo.
Bueno, literal, o sea, pectorales, güey. Es un chichón.
No, o sea, muchas veces es parte del trabajo. O sea, uno se dedica a vender productos.
Esto es parte del trabajo.
¿Tu galería está llena de hombres así?
Bueno, en su defensa puedo decir que es la galería, o sea, no borro. ¿Este pene es tuyo, amigo, o es...? ¿Es suyo?
Sí, Y eso estaba en la papelera. O sea, lo habías borrado.
Como que mientras estaba yo con otra pareja borró todo esto, ¿no?
Sí, yo creo que sí.
¡Hala!
A escondidas. Qué horror.
Yo soy un
De verdad. ¿Y qué? ¿Eres tú?
No.
Porque no me salgas porque eres tú.
Ándale, este no es mi ronda.
¿Qué no te parte del trabajo?
Oye, o sea, tú vienes con
¿Por qué sea un hombre? ¿Es parte del trabajo?
es parte para poder mostrar al cliente.
Fotos así, ¿no? Les vas a mostrar.
Les vendemos Oxxo.
Isabel Estética, ¿quién es? ¿Por qué le llevaste un cafecito al Oxxo?
Es una buena clienta. La llevé, bueno, que me llevó muy bien.
Sí, Oscar, te pido una disculpa, pero mira, las cosas no me salieron como yo esperaba.
¿Por qué le llevas café? Ni a mí me llevas café.
¿Qué trajo? ¿Qué te quedas, mi reina?
Apenas, porque yo te lo pedí. Te pedí que saliéramos. Siempre te lo tengo que pedir yo.
Claro
Yo,
que
por
no.
ti no sale, por ti no sale.
Cuando yo a comer pan.
Yasmín Bebé, ¿quién es? Yasmín Bebé.
Yasmín es mi empleada. Yasmín es mi empleada. Ella es la que tiene las... Claro, sí, yo lo estoy. ¿Por qué tienes mensajes con ella?
Es una buena amiga.
Buena amiga.
Güey, pues cuando tú no estás, yo agarro.
Te estás enojando con Julián, pero la otra me dice que ella quiere que sea de noche para verte.
¿Es neta?
El nuevo disco que trajeron es de 35. ¿Te parece si lo usas conmigo? Esos no, mejor yo llevo unos.
¿Es neta?
¿Por qué no? Este se ve sabroso.
¿Sabes qué?
¿Cómo te explico?
O sea,
te estás
¿Cómo que son
confundiendo.
usados? ¿Cuáles son usados? ¿Cómo que son usados?
están nuevos.
O sea, ¿cómo?
O sea, todo el producto que me vendes es usado.
Y ahora no me digas que no sabías.
¡Maldito asqueroso!
Güey, o sea, no
Te
me
metes
digas.
con ella,
A ver,
te
me
metes
interesa
con
de
ella.
Calcuta.
¿Sabes qué?
Me
¿Sabes
dedico. Me
qué?
dedico
¿Sabes
así.
qué?
Qué rico poco, cabrón. Así te lo digo. Sí.
Eres un asqueroso, eres un
Cumple
asqueroso.
mejor que tú.
Eres un asqueroso.
Sí. Chicas, así te digo.
¿Y
No
tú
me
para
haces
qué sí crees que estoy por ti porque te amo? No, no te quiero. Estoy por ti por conveniencia.
Pues tu
Porque
conveniencia
tú me
te sale
das
por la...
productos.
Y tú sabes que están
Exacto,
Ahí está.
no.
Ahí está.
Lo acabas
Sabes
de
que está.
confesar en ese chat que todo era usado.
Ay, y ya no dices que no sabes.
¿Cómo voy a saber si me acabo de enterar? Eres un
Amigo,
asqueroso puerco.
pero no crees que me puedan demandar por esto, es un delito, ¿no? O sea, ¿cómo vas a vender algo como nuevo si ya se lo metieron a quién sabe dónde?
Están perfectamente lavados.
Pero ¿y de dónde los sacas?
¿Estás pendejo si crees que voy a seguir contigo? Y no me busques.
A ver,
Y
me
yo me voy a
yo.
encargar de un bíceps.
Todo está solucionado.
Que todo está sanitizado. O sea, pero imagínense cómo son las cosas que ni siquiera se lo confesó a ella, a Maritza, o sea, se lo confesó al amante, de que no quería usar esos. O sea, él está sanitizado, pero él no los quería usar. ¿Que estás haciendo un negocio con tu pareja? Bueno, no, es que antes fue su proveedor, ¿verdad? Que su pareja. Está padre el amor, está padre el trabajo. ¿Quién sabe cómo le va a ir con su negocio después de esto? ¿Qué opinan de lo que acabamos de ver? Déjenlo aquí abajo en los comentarios, les voy a estar dando un corazón. Recuerden que me encuentran en mi Instagram, recuerden que Melissa Rodríguez Oficial. Nos vemos en el siguiente episodio. Adiós.
Este es el mítico Honda NSX, ahora abandonado en Rusia. Hemos hablado de historias de autos abandonados en diversas partes del Medio Oriente y todo el continente americano, pero la historia de hoy desvela grandes incógnitas del misterio que engloba este Acura cubierto de moho, tierra y afectado por las inclemencias de las condiciones climáticas. Es que resulta imposible de comprender cómo es que un auto de tal gama puede terminar olvidado en un bosque de San Petersburgo, Rusia. Esta es la primera generación del Deportivo, de color gris metálico, y con las características stock del icónico automóvil motor central de Honda. A pesar de haber sido rescatado para una inmediata restauración, los ahora dueños se intentaron localizar con el propietario original, pues no se consideró en lo absoluto una pérdida total. Porque el auto estaba con condiciones aceptables. Claro, después de todo el lodo, musgo y moho de la carrocería. Son pocas las imágenes que se pueden encontrar en internet sobre el vehículo. Las historias que existen alrededor de este deportivo son muchas, y pocos son los datos publicados de las personas involucradas. Las fotografías muestran más de cerca cómo fue que se encontró en un bosque, de lo que parece ser una zona completamente inhabitada. Pero si creías que todo había terminado aquí, déjame decirte que estás equivocado, pues el auto no solamente no se podía mover debido al estado en el que se encontraba, sino que tampoco podía hacerlo, pues debajo del capó no se encontró ningún motor. El emblemático motor de Honda 3.2 V6 VTEC original. Los datos publicados y recogidos por Drive2 en internet mencionan que el dueño original del coche en Rusia lo llevó a un servicio de mantenimiento. Las personas que lo atendieron le habrían realizado un servicio completo al vehículo, pero al momento de detallar el presupuesto, con algunos tantos excedentes y partes específicas de mantenimiento, el propietario se mostraría molesto, por lo que decidiría anular la orden de reparación debido a la elevada cuenta de la factura, por lo que, a modo de supuesta venganza, el taller decidió retirar algunos componentes, entre ellos el motor, y de tal forma justificar haberlo perdido en una mudanza de taller. De acuerdo a los datos que cuentan recogidos de diversas fuentes, todo indica que el auto fue subastado por alrededor de unos 15.000 euros. Esto debido a que nadie quiso comprarlo. Algo definitivamente extraño, pues este auto es uno de los más representativos de la época dorada del túnel. Algunas fotos recientemente publicadas muestran lo que parece ser este Acura en un taller, en proceso de restauración. Este sin duda es una de las historias de autos abandonados más interesantes, sino porque es todo un misterio realmente encontrar la verdad de los hechos que engloban este deportivo japonés.
This is my 1999 Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
Oye, ya por último, vi una imagen, no te la compartí, pero decía: quédate con un carro, renta uno y destruye el otro. ¿Me explico? Uno era R34 GTR, el otro era un Supra 34 y el otro era un Acura NSX.
might not have seen it if you missed my 4-part series where me and Jared took this from a basically abandoned state into what you see before you today. Now, I used to own this car, and I had to sell it to actually move here to Florida. And I found it again in Dallas, and me and Jared spent 2 days just refurbishing everything, making it look nice, and we ended up taking it on a 2,000-mile rally called the Dust Ball. So this has a very special place in my heart. This is actually my favorite car. I don't think I'd ever sell it. And the reason why it's special is not only because it looks really cool, is because this is the last year model for this car. And they only made 287 of them. This red color, the Caracas red, is, well, it's in okay shape. It's not in great shape, but it's a single-stage paint job, which means that there's no clear coat and there's almost no paint left on the car. But right now, it looks great, and it actually runs pretty well. But what makes this car special, actually one of the many things that make this car special, is what's under here. And it's quite an engine. So in the 90s, Japanese had this gentleman's agreement where they had every engine, all their sports cars made the same amount of power, around 280-ish horsepower. And all of them, every single one of them, cheated. So this was Mitsubishi's foray into that. This is a 3.0 V6 twin turbo with dual overhead cams, all-wheel drive, a 6-speed manual transmission, all-wheel steering, and it drives like a dream. If it were made in 1975. It actually drives not too well. There's a lot of stuff underneath that needs doing, but it drives okay. And I upgraded the intercoolers, the radiator, the blow-off valve. It does make a little bit more power because it has a brand new exhaust, but unfortunately, it's just not enough power for today. So the plan for this is to completely take the engine out. I'm going to be maybe doing some forged internals. I'm going to do some bigger turbos. I'm going to do a standalone engine management unit. Not a bad way to spend $10,000. And then we're going to put this back on the road, and this is going to be a sporty daily driver that I got for not too much money. I mean, this originally cost me $7,000, plus I bought this back for $20,000, which is smart. I really wanted this car, so this is just what it's going to be. Now let me take this out of its spot so you can hear how it sounds. It actually sounds very nice. So nice getting into this thing. Still smells like a Raleigh though. Starts up perfectly fine. Oh, that's clutch. Can't clutch it. So stiff.
What is something you never told your ex-boyfriend?
I was in love with his roommate, but... What? I know, but he was so much nicer to me. Honestly, if you see this, I'm so sorry.
That I hate him. That I might be bi. I thought he was gay. That he had a small... And I'm not just saying that for the camera. You deal with that small just because you love him?
I did somebody before I went and hung out with you. 2 hours before I somebody else, and then I went and had with you.
Where am I going tonight?
You just said you don't have a boyfriend, though.
If I did.
What is something that y'all lied to your ex-boyfriend about?
Sexting. That was my first.
You were just shaking your ass, though. Next question.
Guy?
Who were you shaking it for?
For my friend. He was doing a video.
I'm trusting you, I wouldn't have this.
You cheated on me 3 times, and I had 3 kids, and I cheated on you 2 times. But it didn't matter because you gave me $10,000, so that is Caesar.
Why were you with him then?
I broke up with him.
Well, you knew he had the beef while you were there.
Exactly. And I didn't tell him, and he didn't fix something.
I have a gluten intolerance.
What the fuck? What's something you never ever told an ex-boyfriend?
One time, I thought I was doing Molly, my friend right over there. She gave me methamphetamine, like it was actually meth. So the first time I did Molly, it was actually meth. And I've never told one of my boyfriends that.
Who does that?
that I never loved that nigga. We're roommates. It sounds like we bullshit on our boyfriends that never said it.
Y'all both what? What you say?
I don't know.
Wait.
I mean, I never told my ex-boyfriend. I hooked up with a girl.
While you were dating him?
No.
Why do you think you might be bi?
I think women are hot.
I'm pretty sure you lied about having to, huh?
Oh, 1,000%. Bro, you think that could give me a... Absolutely not. Want me to say his name? I will.
Why do you think he was dead?
He had a friend. Sometimes he and I would, like, be sleeping in the bed, and his friend would come in and be like, and then would be like, oh, no, Chelsea's here, and I'm like, what the? What do you mean, Chelsea's here? I'm your fucking girlfriend. What?
Have y'all ever lied about your body count?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lying about it. Yeah. Body count? Never. I'm like 50 dudes. I don't give a...
We need to build a wall. Have you ever lied about your body count?
No. Yes. No. Never.
Be honest. Have y'all ever lied about your body count?
Yes. Yeah. No. Probably.
What do you mean probably? Yes. So you did. Have you ever lied about your body count?
Oh. Yeah. No.
What about you? Oh my God, yes, you lied! Oh my God, yeah.
I have for some reason, but my body count?
Yeah.
Probably.
What do you mean probably? Yes, you have.
Yeah, every time.
Every time?
Yeah, all the time. Don't believe me, bitch. Yeah. With one person? No, they had with 30 people. No, I'm joking. You better call the FBI. Yeah, that's a joke.
That's a joke. How's it funny? What do you mean? Have y'all ever lied about your body count?
100% I lied about it. Don't ask, don't tell. I have nothing to hide. No? No, absolutely not. 100% no. Pay the fence. Yeah. I'm done. Yeah. No, I want to hear my... Nothing.
Any female thinks they know, then they don't get any action.
What? Oh, no!
Don't count.
Why don't they count?
Irrelevant. It didn't happen.
50?
Yeah.
And what time?
And the past couple years?
The American dream is dead.
You ever had to lie?
No, it's 4.
Every girl says 4. I swear. How many numbers did y'all take off?
Like 5. Like 4. 5. Like 2. A couple.
How many numbers did you take off the actual number of your body count?
Like 2 or 3. 2. Boyfriend knows the real number though. 3. I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Probably 10. I take about half off.
I'm sure you're gonna freak me out.
I divided by 2.
Insiste.
That's probably 5. I don't lie. I just don't tell people.
Ain't no way.
Honey, no. Wait.
Well, how many numbers did you take off?
How many did I take off or add?
What do you mean? You added numbers?
Yeah.
Why would you add?
No.
Now that's a plot twist.
Nobody's business. Come on. I did there. I asked for the body count. You have a mindset of a high schooler.
You understand the setup right here? You understand the narrative right here?
Every girl does that, though. And Kevin is the guy.
My ex told me she had 4 bodies.
She's lying to you. Bro, whenever a girl, like, goes out, she's somebody.
You're f***ing somebody tonight?
No, he's not out tonight.
Why would you lie about it? Why would y'all lie? Why did you lie?
Why? I mean, I'm like so, what did I lie?
Yeah.
To be cool or prude. I just lied about it because this guy that I'm dating, he's Muslim.
Wow.
Men are judgmental and are. I didn't want to be judged by the misogynist society that we live in.
Why did you lie about your body count?
Because in my intimidate men, I was trying to impress the boy.
Don't you think it would have impressed them if you were honest?
No. I had done.
You weren't thinking about that before you slept with the guys?
I didn't lie to them. Why do I need to tell the truth?
That's the right thing to do. What do you mean? Oh, Jesus. If that's the case, then men should just lie about cheating, right?
No.
Well, why tell the truth? You said it, question.
Men are whores just like us.
So that gives you the right to not tell us the truth about your body count?
Yeah, for real. They can have a high body count, but if a girl has a high body, it's not even high. If it's more than like 2, they're like turned off.
You think men and women are the same?
They should be.
Well, are they?
They're not.
Well, don't you think the body count shouldn't be viewed as the same if they're not the same?
That's disrespectful.
Halfway. How is that misogynist?
Apparently, if you're a woman and if you use a lot of men, you're a hoe. But if you're a guy and you like use a lot of women, then you're like a player. You're like cool, you know?
But if you're a guy that doesn't use a lot of women, you're like the same. If you're making fun of you, though.
I lied because someone was asking me, and I said you're not supposed to ask. You're not supposed to ask. Because obviously you're insecure. Why are you asking my body count? You're obviously insecure.
We have people that are stupid.
Yeah, so that's the topic tonight is like, what do women lie about?
We definitely not me though, I'm an honest gal.
Se dijo Donald Trump.
I think a lot of women lie about that.
What do y'all think girls like mostly like are not honest about?
I don't think I worked once in my last relationship.
You're lying.
I swear to God. I would say past relationship.
What do y'all think women typically lie about or don't tell men?
How gross they are sometimes. We're not perfect. We do gross too. They lie about how much money they spend. They lie about where they shop.
So what do you think women typically don't tell men?
Actually, their body count, their actual feelings. Yeah, try to play it cool. We act like we don't care. And we actually do care.
Don't fall for it.
Fall for it. That they're less masculine than they seem. I'll be with dudes with big. So if their ego is big, then they're good.
Look at her. You got in here. Look at this.
I don't lie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tell them everything because I'm honest.
You say you're honest, but you just say you lie about your body count.
That doesn't count. My dad doesn't know I'm a stripper. Yeah, he doesn't know. With this platform, why are you advocating for every black person? Black people's rights in the United States, like underprivileged people's rights in the United States. Like there's so much to be advocating for, and you're coming out here and asking who's your boss for?
There's a time and place for everything. So you're gonna be a doctor, right? So are you gonna be at your job telling people, oh yeah, black people deserve this, black people deserve that? No, you're not. So why would I do that when this is my job? My fans wanna laugh, they wanna have fun. They don't wanna get into politics.
No, I know.
One day,
Fue lo raro que vi.
whenever we start a new project, it has to have this a message in a bottle. Yeah.
A message in a bottle. So like, you can go to a rose garden and trick the rose garden to think it's 4 a.m.
You could if you wanted to, but maybe that is
Not trick. Trick is
right.
a bad word.
Right.
Inspire.
But inspire, I like. I like the idea of providing nature with a choice, which is why I love that elegant mathematical equation of empowerment and agency.
Follow the rose garden the wearer of the fragrance.
But now again, you're again all of this to go back to that human-centric notion of romance. But maybe there's another way to do romance, right? That we haven't yet, that we haven't yet explored, and maybe there's a way to tap into what happens to the rose when it's blooming. Assuming that plants are sentient, and assuming that we can tap into that sentience, what can we discover about what does the rose want? Like what does it actually want, and what does it need, and what are the rose's dreams?
But do you think there's some correlation in terms of romance, in terms of the word you sometimes use, magic? Is there some similarities in what humans want and what roses want and what nature wants?
I think so. I think there isn't. If I did not think so, this would not be a nice world to live in. I think we all want love. I recently read this beautiful letter that was written by Einstein to his daughter, and was discovered. Einstein asked his daughter to wait 20 years until she reveals these letters, and so she did. This is one of the most beautiful letters I've ever read from a father to his daughter. And the letter overall is imbued with a kind of a sense of remorse, or maybe even feelings of sadness. And there is some kind of melancholy note in the letter where Einstein regrets not having spent enough time with his daughter, having focused on the theory of general relativity, changing the world. And then he goes on to talk about this beautiful and elegant equation of E equals mc squared. And he tells his daughter that he believes that love is actually the force that shapes the universe, because it is like gravity, right? It attracts people. It is like light. It brings people together and connects between people. And it's all empowering. And so if you multiply it by the speed of light, you could really change the world for the better. And I call me a romanticist. I know you are too. Which is why I so love being here. I believe in this. I totally and utterly believe in
love. But let me just excerpt from Einstein's letter. There's an extremely powerful force that so far science has not found a formal explanation to. It is a force that includes and governs all others, and is even behind any phenomena operating in the universe, and has not yet been identified by us. This universal force is love. He also, the last paragraph in the letter is mentioned, I deeply regret not having been able to express what is in my heart, which has quietly beaten for you all my life. Maybe it's too late to apologize, but as time is relative. That jokester, Einstein. I need to tell you that I love you, and thanks to you, I have reached the ultimate answer. Your father, Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
For that regret, I deeply regret not having been able to express what is in my heart. Maybe that's a universal regret. Filling your days with busyness and silly pursuits, and not sitting down and expressing that.
But it is everything. It is everything. It is why I love that expression. And I forget who said this, but I love my daughter more than evolution required, right? And I feel the same way towards my other half, and I feel that when you find that connection,
everything and anything is possible. And it's a very, very, very magical moment. So I believe in love, and I believe in the one.
It might be the same thing, it might be a different thing, but let me ask you a ridiculously big philosophical question about beauty. Dostoevsky said beauty will save the world in The Idiot, one of my favorite books of his. What is beauty to you? You've created, through this intersection of engineering and nature, you've created some incredibly beautiful things. What do you think is beauty?
That's a beautiful question.
Maybe it is connected to the love question.
It is connected to the love question. Of course, everything is connected to the love question. To me, beauty is agency. To me, something that has agency, it is beautiful. There's this special quote from Buckminster Fuller, which I cannot remember word for word, but I remember the concept, which goes something like this. When I work on a problem, I never think about beauty. But when I'm done solving the problem and I look at what I've created and it's not beautiful, I know that I was wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of an agency that speaks to, quote unquote, the objective function of the creation, right? Whether for Bucky it's useless or useful.
So this idea of empowerment that you talked about,
Yes,
how to stay connected to it.
Comes back to that, yeah.
What's the difference that you hinted at between empowerment and emergence? Is emergence completely lacks control? And empowerment is more controlled? There's an agent making decisions. Is there an interesting distinction there?
Yes, I think empowerment is a force with direction. It has directionality to it. Emergence is, I believe, multi-directional. Again, that depends on the application. Emergence is perhaps, in terms of sort of a material definition, is a tropic to it. Empowerment is at the anisotropic counterpart. I think they overlap because I think that empowerment is a way of inspiring emergence. I think emergence does not happen without empowerment, but empowerment can happen without emergence.
Do you think of emergence as the loss of control? Like when you're thinking about these capsules and the things they create, is emergence a thing that is not a desirable conclusion?
I love that question because to some of us the loss of control is control. In design we're used to like extreme levels of control over form and the shape of a thing and how it behaves and how it functions. And that's something we've inherited from the Industrial Revolution. But with nature there's this diversity that happens without necessarily having a reward function, right? This is good or bad. Things just happen, and some of them happen to have wings, and some of them happen to have scales, and you end up with this incredible potential for diversity. So I think the future of design is in that soft control, is in the ability to design highly controlled systems that enable the loss of control, and creativity is very much part of this. Because creativity is all about letting go and beginning again and beginning again and beginning again. And when you cannot let go, you cannot be creative, and you can't find novelty. But I think that letting go is a moment that enables empowerment, agency, creativity, emergence, and they're all connected. They're sort of associate themselves with the definition of destiny or the inevitable. A good friend of mine shared with me an elegant definition of fate, which is the ratio of who you are and who you want to be.
Ratio of who you are, who you want to be.
Exactly. And that sort of ends up defining you. And those tools, I think, when you let go, you sort of find, you give peace to your will, right? To a sense of will, and so I think that's very, very important in design, but also in life.
You said this fate is the ratio of
Who you are and who you want to be.
Who you want to be. Do you think there's something to this whole manifestation thing, like focusing on a vision of what you want the world to become, and in that focusing, you manifest it, like Paulo Coelho said in The Alchemist, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Is there something to that?
I think so, yes. And I always think of, you know, what I do as the culmination of energy, information, and matter, and how to direct energy, information, and matter in the design of a thing or in the design of a life. I think living is very much a process of channeling these energies to where they need to go. I think that the manifestation, or part of that manifestation, is pointing to the moon in order to get to the moon. And that's why manifestation is also directional. It has that vector quality to it that I think of agency as.
Have you, in your own life, has there been things you've done where you kind of direct that energy, information, and matter in a way that opens up
New possibilities?
Yeah. I mean, you've also said somewhere, I'm probably misquoting, that you're many things, you and Ari are many things, and you become new things every 10 years or so.
Oh, I did say that somewhere.
Somewhere.
That every decade you sort of switch.
That was a previous Mary that said that.
Yeah, I did say some time ago that you have to sort of reboot every 10 years to keep creative and keep inventive and keep fresh.
There are things you've done in your life which doors open.
I think everything good I've found in my life has been found in that way of letting go and suspending my sense of disbelief. And often you will find me say to the team, suspend your disbelief. I don't care that this is impossible. Let's assume it is. Where does it take us? And that suspension of disbelief is absolutely part and parcel of creative act. And, you know, I did so when I was in medical school. I was in Hadassah and Hebrew University. And I remember I left medical school for architecture the day my grandmother passed away. And that was a moment of relief. That was a door that was closing that opened other opportunities. But that, of course, required letting go of the great vision of becoming a doctor and letting go of the dream of, you know, being surrounded by wonderful patients and the science of medicine and the research associated with that science, and letting go of that dream to accomplish another. And it has happened throughout my life in different ways. MIT was another experience like that, where people pointed at me as, you know, the designer for whom the academic currency is not necessarily the citation index. And of course, in order to get tenure at MIT, you have to look at the citation index. But for me, it was not that. It was manifesting our work in shows and writing papers and writing patents and creating a celebration around the work. And I never saw a distinction, between those ways of being. I also think that another kind of way of being or modality of being that I found helpful is Viktor Frankl wrote this incredible book, Man's Search for Meaning, after the Holocaust, and he writes different people pursue life for different reasons. According to Freud, the goal of life is to find pleasure, and according to Adler, it's to find power. And for Viktor Frankl, it was about finding meaning. And when you let go of the titles and the disciplines and the boundaries and the expectations and the perception, you are elevated to this really special, spiritual, but definitely very, very creative plane where you can sort of start anew and look at the world through the lens of a bacterium or a robot, or look at ecology through the lens of chemistry, and look at chemistry through the lens of robotics, and look at robotics through the lens of microbial ecologies, and so on and so forth. And I feel that kind of rebooting, not every 10 years, but every minute, every breath, is very, very important for a creative life and for just maintaining this fresh mind, to reboot, to begin again with every breath, begin again. And that can be confusing for some, right? For my team members, I like to change my mind. It's who I am. It's how I think. It's how I operate. And they'll come and we found another technique or another technology that's interesting, and we thought that we were working on this functionalized fragrance, but now there's another opportunity, and let's go there. And to me, I would much rather live life like if I had to pick sort of my favorite Broadway show to enter and live through, it would be Into the Woods. It's not a specific fairy tale. It's not the Sleeping Beauty or Little Red Riding Hood or Rapunzel. It's all of them. It's sort of moving into the forest and seeing this wonder and getting close and learning about that, and then moving to another wonder. And life is really about tying all of these little fairy tales together in work and also in life.
Unafraid to leap into the unknown.
Unafraid to leap into the unknown.
Speaking of MIT, you got a tenure at MIT, and then you leap to New York and start a new company that with a vision that doesn't span a couple of years, but centuries.
I did. It was my destiny to start a company. And do I have mornings when I wake up and I ask myself, what the hell am I doing? Yes, I have those mornings.
What do you do with those mornings, by the way?
I embrace them, and I find gratitude, and I say to myself, thank goodness I'm so lucky to have the ability to be frustrated in this way. So I really, really embrace these frustrations, and I take them, I wrap them in a bubble, and I look at it, on the outside of my aware mind, and I laugh at them, I smile at them.
If I could return actually to the question of beauty for a second, I forgot to ask you something. You mentioned imperfection in the Death Masks.
Mm-hmm.
What role does imperfection play in our conception of beauty? What role does imperfection play in nature? There's this Japanese aesthetics concept of wabi-sabi, which basically embraces imperfection. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I totally agree that change is the only permanence, that imperfection is there if only to signal that we are part of a bigger thing than ourselves, that we are on a journey, that things are in movement, And if they were perfect, of course, when things are perfect, it is just so boring. We end up with stereotypes. And as humans, but I think just in general as living beings, we're here to find meaning, and that meaning cannot be found without struggle and without seeking to, not to perfect, but to build towards something better. When I was a child, my mother, who I love so much, always explained to me how important it is to fall and to fail and to fight and to argue, and that there is a way, that there is a culture to failing and to imperfection. So I think it is necessary for something beautiful to be imperfect, and it is a sign that it is a sign of nature, because nothing in nature is perfect.
What about human relations? You mentioned finding love. Are the flaws in human imperfection in humans a component of love? Like, what role do you think
That's a really profound question. I think the flaws are there to present a vulnerability, and those flaws are a sign of those vulnerabilities. And I think love is very, very gentle. Right? Love, with Bill, we often talk about about what drives all human behavior, and for him it's incentive, as you might expect. And he will repeat this sentence to me: "All incentive drives all human behavior." But I would say, to me, it's love, very much so, and I think flaws are part of that, because flaws are a sign of that vulnerability, whether physical, whether emotional vulnerability. And those vulnerabilities, they either tear us apart or they bring us together. And the vulnerability is what is the glue, I think. I think that the vulnerability enables connection. The connection is the glue. And that connection enables accessing higher ground as a community versus an individual. So if there is a society of the mind, or there are higher levels of awareness that can be accessed in community, as opposed to, again, going to the silkworm, as opposed to on the individual level, I think that those occur through the flaws and the vulnerabilities. Without them, we cannot find connection, community, and without community, we can't build what we have built as a civilization, for the past hundreds of thousands of years. So I think not only are they beautiful, but they have a functional role in building civilization.
Yeah, there's a sense in which lovers thrive on vulnerability. Maybe lovers will leap into that vulnerability.
And I think, yes, I think a flaw, think about it like physically. I'm thinking about a brick that's flawed, but in a way, I think of a flaw as an increased surface area.
That's a good line.
Right? A surface area that's like physically or emotionally, right? It sort of introduces this whole new dimension to a human or a brick. And because you have more surface area, you can, use mortar and build a home. And yeah, I think of it as accessing this additional dimension of surface area that could be used for good or bad, right? To connect, to communicate, to collaborate. It makes me think of that quote from this incredible movie I watched years ago, Particle Fever, I think it was called, a documentary about the Large Hadron Collider. It's an incredible film where they talk about the things that are least important for our survival are the things that make us human. Like the pure romantic act, or the notion of, and Viktor Frankl talks about that too. He talks about feeling the sun on his arms as he is working the soil in 2 degrees Fahrenheit without clothes. And the officer berates him and says, "What have you done? Have you been a businessman before you came here to the camp?" And he said, "I'm a doctor." He must have made a lot of money as a doctor. He said, all my work I've done basically I've been helping the poor. But he keeps his humility, he keeps his modesty, and his preservation of his spirit. And he says the things that actually make him able to, and made him able to outlive the terrible experience of the Holocaust was the really cherishing this moment when the sun hits his skin, or when he can eat a grain of rice, a single grain of rice. So I think cherishing is a very important part of living a meaningful life, being able to cherish those simple things.
To notice them?
To notice them, to pay attention to them in the moment. And I do this now more than ever.
I mean, there is something, Picale has a poem where it tells the story of a young man on a bus going through like North Carolina or something like this, and they stop off in a cafe, and he has there's a waitress, and he talks about that he notices the magic, something indescribable, just notices the magic. He gets back on the bus with the rest of the passengers. None of them seem to have noticed the magic. I think if you just allow yourself to pause, to feel whatever that is, maybe ultimately it's some kind of gratitude.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's just chemicals in the brain, but it's just so incredible to be alive.
Yeah.
Noticing that, appreciating that, and being one in that with others.
Yes, and that goes back to, to the fire cycle. Right? The first technology was fire. First technology was to build community, and it emerged out of vulnerability. Wanting to stay away from the cold, we warm together. And of course that fire is associated with not only with comfort and the ability to form, biorelevant nutrients in our food and provide heat and comfort, but also spirits and a kind of way to enter a spiritual moment, to enter a moment that can only be experienced in a community as a form of meditative moment. There's a lot to be said about light. Light is, I think, an important part of these moments of, I think it's a real thing. I really truly believe that we're born with an aura that is measurable. I think we're born into the world with a, with an aura, and how do we channel that is really sort of ends up sort of defining the light in our lives.
Do you think we're all lonely? Do you think there's loneliness in us humans?
Oh yeah. Loneliness is hard. Yeah, I think we all have that loneliness, whether we're willing to access that loneliness and look at it in the eye, or completely, completely avoid it or deny it.
It's like, it feels like it's some kind of foundation for longing, and longing leads to this combination of vulnerability and connection with others.
Yes.
Feels like that's a really important part of being human, is being lonely.
Very, very, born into this world alone. Again, being alone and being lonely are two different things, right? And you can be together but be lonely, and you can be alone but not be lonely at all. We often joke, Jill and I, that he cannot be lonely. He cannot deal with being by himself. He always needs people around him. And I strive long, must have creative solitude, must find pockets of solitude and loneliness in order to find creativity and reconnect with myself. So loneliness is a recipe for community, in my opinion, and I think those things complement each other, and they're synergetic, absolutely. The yin and yang of togetherness, and they allow you, I think, to reset and to tune in to that ratio we talked about of who you are and who you want to be.
If you go to this place of creative solitude, what's your creative process? Is there something you've noticed about what you do?
I love to be able not only to lose focus, but kind of to focus on the peripheral view and to allow so I will often, in my loneliness journeys, I will often listen to Life Better than anything I can find online by Lenny Bernstein. It's reading a nature paper, it's War and Peace, it's really revisiting all the texts that are so timeless for me with opportunities that are very, very timely. And I think for me the creative process is really about bringing timeless problems or concepts together with highly knowledge to observe them. I remember when we did the Mandela Pavilion, we read the whiteness of the whale, the albino, the different, the other, and that got us to work on melanin. And melanin also is sort of an output. There's lots of things happening at the same time, really allowing them to come together to form this view about the world through the lens of a spirit being or a living being or a material, and then focus on the world through the lens of that material. The glasswork was another project like that. We were fascinated by glass because obviously it's a superb material for architecture. But we created this new glass printing technology for the first time that was shedding light on the biomechanics of fluid glass. The math and physics of it was never done before. It was so exciting to us. But revealing new knowledge about the world through technology, that's one theme. The reincarnation between think material and immaterial, that's another theme. Lenny Bernstein, War and Peace, Tolstoy.
You tweeted a Tolstoy quote from War and Peace, as of course you would. Everything I know because of love.
Love. Yeah, I love this quote.
So you use these kind of inspirations to focus you and then find the actual idea in the periphery.
Yes, and then connect them with whatever it is that we're working on, whether it's, high throughput directed evolution of bacteria, whether it's, recreating that Garden of Eden in the capsule and what it looks like, the food of the future. It is a little bit like directing a film. Creating a new project is a bit like creating a film. And you have these heroes, you have these characters, and you put them together, and there's a narrative, and there's a story. Whenever we start a new project, it has to have these ingredients of simultaneous complexity. It has to be novel in terms of the synthetic biology, material science, robotics, engineering. All of these elements that are discipline-based or rooted must be novel. If you can combine novelty in synthetic biology, with a novelty in robotics, with a novelty in material science, with a novelty in computational design, and you are bound to create something novel, period. And that's how I run the company, and that's how I pick the people. So that's another very, very important ingredient of the cutting edge across multiple disciplines that come together. And then in the background, in the periphery, there's all these messages, the whispers of the ancient oldies, right? The Beethovens and the Picassos.
So Beethoven's always whispering to you.
Yeah, how could one not include Beethoven in the whispers?
I'm going to ask you about Beethoven and again, in case you mentioned, because I've played piano my whole life. I obviously know a lot of Beethoven. And it's one of the private things for me, I suppose.
By the way, me too.
I mean,
I play in private only.
Yeah, people sometimes, even with guitar, people ask me, can you play something? And it just feels like certain things are
meant to be done
privately.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, it's a difficult, and some of the times I have performed publicly, it is ultimately been vulnerability. It's very, very, very difficult for me, and I'm sure I know it's not for a lot of people. It is for me. Anyway, we will return to that, but since you mentioned combination of knowledge across multiple disciplines, and that's what you seek when you build teams or pick people you work with. I just wanted to kind of linger on this idea of what kind of humans are you looking for in this endeavor that you're taking on, this fascinating thing that you're talking about. One of the things somewhere else, a previous version 5.7 of Neri said somewhere that there's 4 fields that are combined to create this intersection of biology and engineering work on is computational design, additive manufacturing, material engineering, synthetic biology. I'm sure there's others. But how do you find these humans? Machine learning's in the mix.
I manifest and they come.
Yeah.
There are a few projects. They show up.
Okay.
Send your message upon the water. I mean, those job descriptions that you saw, the first one I wrote by myself. And you find interesting people and brilliant people when they look at the subject as derivatives, and you look under and under and under. You look deep enough and specialize enough, and you allow yourself to look at the cracks, at the flaws, at the cracks between disciplines, between skills. You find really, really interesting diamonds in the rough. And so I like for those job descriptions to be those messages in the bottle that bring those really interesting people our way. I mean, they have to have humor. They have to have a shine in their eyes. They have to be hungry for food. Job so famously said, a friend of mine who's a dean of well-known architectural school said, today architects don't want to be architects. Architects don't look up to the architects as a role model. Architects are no longer role models. Architects want to build by virtue of nothing. And architects want to that if you go back in the 60s about architecture, back in the hippie movement, I think that in a way they have to be somewhat of a hippie, somewhat of a kind of a jack of all trades, master of all.
And yet with humility.
And yet with humility. Now that is hard to find. And that is why, when I start an interview, I talk about childhood memories, and I asked about music, and I asked about connection. And through these interviews, you can learn a lot about a person's future by spending time hearing them talk about their past.
Do you find that educational, like PhDs versus, what's the life trajectory? Yours is an instrument. What's the life trajectory that leads to a foundation?
It's people who have ideally had industry experience and know what it's like to be in the real world. They're dreamers that are addicted to reality, as opposed to realists that are addicted to dreams. Meaning they have that innocence in them, they have the hunger, they have the idealism without being entitled, and with understanding the systems that govern our world and understanding how to utilize these systems as Trojan horses to bring those values into the world. There are individuals who feel comfortable in this friction between highly wondrous and dreamy, incredible fantasy renditions of what the world could be with extremely brilliant skills in terms of their disciplinary background. So PhD with industrial experience in a certain field, or a double major in two fields that make no sense whatsoever and there's no anything. I think that really, really attracts me.
Especially that spans the technology, biology.
Technology, biology, nature, culture. I mean, the secret to one thing is through the lens of another, and I always believed in that kind of translational design ability, to be able to see something through the lens of another, and always allows you to think again, begin again, reestablish, redefine, suspend your disbelief, revisit. And when you visit enough times, like 100 times, or like 200 times, and you revisit the same question through the lens of any possible discipline and any possible scenario, we get to the truth.
I have to ask you, because you work the interplay of the machine and the natural world, is there a good definition for you of what is life? What is a living organism?
Mm-hmm. I think like 440 million years ago, there were all these plants that the cyanobacteria, I believe, actually, that God, that was like the first extinction, right? 5 extinctions. We are apparently the 6th. We are in the eye of the storm. We are in the 6th extinction. We are going to be extinct as we speak. I mean, death is upon us, whether we want to admit it or not. And actually, they found in Argentina and in various places around the world, they found these spores of these first plants that existed on the planet, and they emerged out of the cyanobacteria first, of course, and then they found these spore-based plants. And because they didn't have seeds, they're only spores, the spores became sort of fossils by which we've come to know of their existence. And because of these spores, we know that this first extinction existed. But this extinction is actually what enabled plants to resurrect, right? So the death of these first plants, because they clinged to the rocks and they generated a ton of phosphorus that went into the ocean by clinging to the rocks, like 60 times more phosphorus than without them, and then all this phosphorus basically choked the oceans and made them super cold and without oxygen, aoxic. And then we lost the plant kingdom. And then because of the death of these first plants, they actually enriched the soil and created nutrients for these new plants to come to the planet. And those planets had like more sophisticated vein systems, and they were moving beyond spores to seeded plants, etc., and flowering plants. So in a way, one mass extinction sort of led in the Ordovician period sort of led to life as we know it. And where would we be without plants, in a way? So I think that death is very much part of life, and through that definition, that kind of planetary wide definition in the context of hundreds of millions of years, life gains a completely new, sort of a new light. And that's when the particles become a wave, right? Where we are not alone. And we are here because of those plants, right? So I think death is very much part of life. So in the context of, the redwood tree, perhaps, life is defined as 10 generations. And through the lens of the bacteria, perhaps life is defined as a millisecond. And perhaps through the lens of an AGI, life is defined as all of human civilization. So I think it really is a question of this time scale again, the time scale and the organism, the life form that's asking the question, to which we can answer what is life.
What do you think about this? If you think about something as a storm or another extinction, the natural question to ask is new human creation is currently being turned to artificial intelligence. How does your work play with the possibility of a future super intelligence ecosystem and AGI that either joins?
No solo estabas preocupado por nosotros, ¿cierto, Yeah. Finch? Ya has estado aquí. So I'm glad you asked this question.
And I look closer.
So, I'm personally terrified. I did watch your interview with Eliezer Yudkowsky, and I loved it.
Because you were scared, or because you were excited, or because you were...
First of all, I was both. I totally scared, shamed, excited, and totally also inspired, because he's just such an incredible thinker. And I can agree or disagree with what he says, but I just found his way of thinking about AGI and the perils of humanity as a result.
There's an inevitability to what he's saying. His advice to young people is that prepare for a short life.
Yeah.
He thinks it's very almost simple, it's almost common sense that AGI would get rid of humans. That he can't imagine a trajectory eventually that leads to a place that doesn't have AGI kill all humans. There's just too many trajectories where a super intelligent system gets rid of humans, and in the near term. So
Yeah.
that clarity of thinking is very sobering to me. It's maybe it is to you as well. It's super inspiring because I think he's wrong, but it's like you almost want to prove him wrong. It's like, no, we humans are clever bunch. We're gonna find a way.
It is a bit like jumping into super cold water. It's sort of a kind of a fist in your face. It wakes you up, and I like these moments so much. And he was able to bring that moment to life, even though I think a mother can never think that way ever. And it's a little bit like that notion of I love her more than evolution requires. On your question about AGI and nature, look, I think we've been through a lot in terms of to get here. We sort of moved from data, right, the ability to collect information, to knowledge, the ability to use this information for utility, from knowledge to intelligence. And what is intelligence? Is the ability to problem solve and adapt and translate. So that's sort of from data to information to knowledge. I think the next frontier is wisdom. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is the ability to have or find insight about the world, and from wisdom to spiritual awareness, which is sort of transcends wisdom and is able to chart the world into new territories. But I think what is interesting about AGI is that it is sort of almost like a self-recursive thing, right? Because it's like a washing machine of like a third derivative Wikipedia. It uses kind of like language to create language, to create language, to create language.
It feels like novelty is being constantly created. It doesn't feel like it's regurgitating.
And that's so fascinating because, these are not the stochastic parrots. This is sort of a new form of emergence, perhaps, of novelty, as you say, that exists by virtue of using old things to create new things. But it's not as if the AGI has self-awareness, right? It's not as if it has, maybe it has, but as far as I can tell, it's not as if AGI has approached consciousness or sentience just yet. It's probably getting there, but the language appears to present itself as if there is sentience there, but it doesn't. But I think that's the problem, at the point where this AGI sounds like me and speaks like me and feels like me and feels like me and breathes like me, and my daughter knows the AGI to be me. It's sort of the end of everything, right? It's the end of human agency. But what is the end of human agency to humans? I think is the beginning of agency to nature. Because if you take all of this agency, if you take all of these language models that can summarize all of human civilization and consciousness, and then upload that to nature, and have nature now deal with that world of consciousness that it never had access to. So maybe through any of those lands, the sort of short-lived human becomes sort of a very long-lived human, like sentient weeping willow. Maybe that's the end and the beginning. And maybe on the more optimistic side, for us humans, it's a different form of existence, where everything we create and everything we consume and everything we process is all made out of six elements. That's it. And there's only those 6 elements and not 118 elements. And it's all the stuff of biology plus some, fair amount of bits, genes, and atoms.
Well, I think the idea of connecting NGI to nature through your work is really fascinating. Sort of unlocking this incredible machinery and intelligence that is AGI, and connecting it to the incredible machinery of wisdom that is nature as a God of food. Really great and intense.
Exactly. And unlike
transmuta tu luz cargada dentro del círculo ritual.
This sort of high throughput brute force approach, if there is a way to utilize this energy for diversity and diversification, what happens if you ask ChatGPT questions? It takes 10,000 years to answer. Like, what does that look like? Right? When you completely switch the time scale, and can afford this kind of practice. And yeah, I don't know, but that world to me is possibly amazing.
Do you think there's when we start to think about looking at all the concentrations is really over. Do you think there's others like it? Do you think there's other planets with life forms on them that are doing that in this kind of way? And what you're doing is you're directly playing with what's possible with life-like things. That kind of maps the question of what kind of other things are possible. I think there's other worlds full of life going.
I've studied the calculation that point towards the verdict that the possibility of life in and around us is very, very low. We are a chosen planet in a way, right? There's water and love. And that sort of very peculiar juxtaposition of conditions, the oxygen, the water, the carbon, again, is in a way a miracle given the massive extinctions that we've been through as life forms. And that says you cannot believe that there is no other life. I want to believe more than I know that yes, that there are life forms. The white fountain and the black hole, right? That there are these life forms that are light years away from us, that are forming other forms of life.
Yeah, I'm much more worried about probably the thing that you're looking at, which is that there's all kinds of life all around us that we're not.
Yeah.
There's aliens, in a sense, all around us that we're not seeing, that we're not talking about, that we're not communicating.
Yeah.
Because that to me just seems the more likely situation.
They're here.
Here, they're all around us.
Yeah.
But there is a connection. There's a need to connect all of those beings across the universe. And we're just beginning to understand any of it. And I feel like that's the important problem. I feel like we can get there with the tools of science today by just unlocking really fundamental things. Maybe we can start to answer the question about what is consciousness. You just think that we can learn about love, and honestly, it's a serious story. And then you start to understand that there is something all out there. And it's much more complicated and interesting than we kind of realize.
Yeah.
Looking at human life, exactly human life, the variety of life that's possible.
I totally agree with you. I think again, define alien, right? More than to say intelligence in suitcase, right? The word so good, the word like sustainability, the word like, rock and roll. Suitcase words are always very, very dangerous.
Speaking of rock and roll, you've mentioned music, you mentioned David. You also speak about beginning business performances and so on. What can you say about the role of music?
I love music. I always wondered why is it that plastic art, architecture, sculpture, and painting can get us to cry and music cry so quickly and connect so quickly. There is something about music that is, and no wonder it's not but if we could talk of the creative pyramid, in my opinion, and
Cuando los dioses de la colmena hicieron su pacto con los gusanos de fundamento, quedaron obligados a cumplir con sus ambiciones, o estos los devorarían.
When I visited the Sagrada Familia, I had that kind of spiritual reverence
Sabaton buscaba mentiras y trucos.
Being in that space and feeling
Shivu Arata engordó a su gusano con la fuerza de civilizaciones.
It's true. It is the universal
y todo lo que queda de eso son los epitafios en las páginas de los apócrifos de la colmena.
Not the language of the firefly. It is the universal language, I believe. And that is definitely one of my loves.
And you said that if you want to do what you're doing now, perhaps you would be a film director. So I have to ask, what do you think is the best film of all time? Maybe top 3.
Yeah. Maybe The Godfather.
Okay.
The Godfather is definitely up there. Francis Coppola is one of my heroes.
Have you met him?
I have met him. Yes. I was very, very lucky. We were very lucky to work with him on his new film, Megalopolis, which is coming out, I hope, in 2024. And think about the cities of the future in the context of new materials and the unity between nature and culture. Godfather is definitely up there. 2001 is up there. I would watch that film again and again and again. It's incredible. The last scene in Odyssey 2001, just watch the last scene of 2001, then listen to Kowski, and then go to the garden, and that's pretty much, that's the end of the beginning. But that scene, that last scene from 2001 is everything. It says so much with so little, and it leaves, it's sort of the embodiment, I believe, of ambivalence, and there's opportunity to believe in the beginning of humankind, the end of humankind, the planet child, star, or star child of the future. Was there a death? Was there a reincarnation? That final scene to me is something that I go back to and study. And every time there's a different reading of that scene that inspires me. So that scene, it's just, and then the first scene of The Godfather, still one of the best scenes of all time. Sort of a portrait of America, the ideals and values that are brought from Italy.
A family, of loyalty, of values, of how different values of
Usan los cristales solares para desatar su
And
poder.
the spirit, I'll also let's celebrate the human spirit through the most simple gestures in language and acting. And I think in Kubrick you see this highly curated and controlled and manicured vision of creating a film. And with Francis, it's like an Italian food. Like anything can happen at any moment in time. Being on the set with him is an experience I'll take with me to my grave. It's very, very, very special.
He said music is also part of that, creating.
Yeah. Actually, the Godfather, that tune.
That makes me like emotional every time.
It's one of these tunes I'm sure that has played to a jazz music but I think with that particular tune, I learned staccato. Something very, very happening to it. And then made into this stretched in time and kind of refrain of nostalgia and melancholy and loyalty and everything right one single tune.
Played all kinds of I think this happens in movies where sometimes a melody,
and the Strauss melody in 2001. And when you juxtapose these melodies with the theme, you get this, again, full experience of his part, where you get this moment that is, I think, like these are the moments I would spend, with the next voyage or say, I definitely spend The Godfather and be on that golden record.
You are an incredibly successful scientist, engineer, architect, artist, designer. You've mentored a lot of successful people. Can you give us how to have a successful career and how to have a successful life?
I think there's this beautiful line in Sheltering Sky. How many times have you seen a full moon in your life and actually took the time to ingest and explore and reflect upon the full moon? Probably twice, I believe, because I spend time with a full moon. I take my time with a full moon. And I pay attention to it. And I think paying attention to the seasons and taking time to appreciate the little things, the simple things, is what makes a meaningful life. I was very lucky to have had, to have grown up in a home that taught me this way of being. My parents, my grandmother, who played a very important role in my growing up.
Digamos que nuestra diosa de la guerra está recibiendo justo lo que busca.
And to be present is so, I could not emphasize it enough. It's so crucial.
And be grateful.
And be grateful. I think gratitude and presence, appreciation are really the most important things in life.
If you could take a short tangent about your grandmother, who's played a big role in your life, what do you remember? What lessons have you learned from her?
she had this blanket that she would give me every time I came back from school and say, you know, do your homework here and meet with your friends here, and it was always in her garden. Her garden, in my mind, was ginormous, but when I, you know, last I went there and saw the site, which has now become the site for another tall building, it was a tiny, tiny little garden that to me seemed so large when I was growing up, because it had everything. It had fig trees, it had olive trees, it had mushrooms, it had the blanket. I would do my homework there. It was everything, and I needed nothing else. And that was my gardening Eden. That was my childhood. And she taught me, you know, we would lie on the blanket and look at the clouds, and reflect upon the shapes of the clouds and study the shapes of the plants. And there was a lot of wonder in that childhood with her. And she taught me the importance of wonder in sort of in an eternal childhood and living adulthood as a child. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. I think it is the sense of wonder, speaking up was always something that she adhered to speak up your truth, to be straightforward, to be positive. These are things that I also got from my mom. And from my mom, the sense of humor, like the best sense of humor that I could think of, and it was just a joy to be around. And my father taught me everything. My father taught me everything I know. My mom taught me everything I feel. My grandma taught me everything I insight.
Well, I see the sense of wonder that carries to everything you do. So I think you make your grandmother proud. What about advice behind it? You had a very interesting career, a successful career, but not an easy one. You took a few leaps.
I did take a few leaps, and they were uncomfortable. My father, and I'll never forget, I think we were like listening to a Rolling Stones song in the kitchen, and my dad was actually born in Boston, said, I started to have second thoughts about doing my education in Israel, and I wanted to, you know, go. I was on my way to London to the Architectural Association to do my diploma studies there, and he looked at me and he said, "Get out of here, kiddo. You've got to get out of here." And I was going around with that. Looking forward. Another thing he had taught me, the feeling of discomfort, as you say, the feeling of loneliness and discomfort is imperative to growth. Growth is painful, period. Any form of growth is difficult and painful. Work is difficult and painful. And it's really, really important to place yourself in situations of discomfort. I like to be in a room where everyone in the room is more intelligent than me. I like to be in those that kind of state where the people that I surround myself with are orders of magnitude more intelligent than I am. And I can say that is true of all of my team members. And that's the intellectual discomfort that I feed off of. The same is true for physical exertion. You've got to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations in order to grow and in order to find your worth. And then, on the other hand, is love. It's finding love and finding that human, this other human that complements and that makes you a better version of the one you are, and even of the one you want to be. But with gratitude and attention and love, you can go so far. To the younger generation, I don't speak of a career. I never thought of my work as my career, ever. And there was this constant entanglement between life and work and love and longing and being and mothering, it's all the same. And I appreciate that to some people that doesn't work in their, in their arrangement of will versus comfort versus the reality. But for me, it has always worked. So I think to the younger generation, I say don't think of your career. A career is something that is imposed upon you. Think of your calling. That's something that's innately and directionally moves you, and it's something that transcends a career. Similarly, you can think about the difference between, learning versus being educated. Being educated is something that's given to you, that's external, that's being imposed, that's top-down imposed. This learning is something that comes from within. It's also the difference between joy and happiness. Many times I'm sad and I'm still joyous. And it's very, very important to understand the difference between these externally perceived success paths and internally driven, value-based, ways of being in the world. And we, together, when we combine all of these, all of these, the broken puzzle, let's say, of substance and vulnerability, we get this bigger gestalt, this wondrous world of a future that is peaceful, that is that is wholesome, and that proposes or advocates for that kind of synergy that we've been talking about throughout.
Well,
but it's all fun.
Well, thank you for this incredible conversation. Thank you for all the work you're doing, and I just have to say that thank you for noticing me and listening to me. You're somebody from just today and from our exchanges before this. Like, there's a sense where you care about me as a human being, which I could tell you care about other humans. But thank you for doing that. Thank you for having empathy and just like, really listening, noticing me, that I exist. So thank you for that. Been a huge fan of your work. Been a huge fan of who you are as a human being. It's just an honor that you would sit with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lex. I feel the same way. I'll just say the same.
And I look forward to hearing the response to my job application.
Oh, you're accepted.
Oh, damn. All right.
We all speak of you all the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Larry. Thank you. Thanks for listening to this conversation with Larry Opp. To support this podcast, please check out our sponsors in the description. And now, let me leave you with some words from Leo Tolstoy. Everything I know because of love. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you next time.
No es lo que crees.
Todos piensan que están
Well, intermittent fasting, but
well, that's an optimization of death, right? Because when you fast, your body a lot.
Tu regreso me honra. She was fated to make that choice. There wasn't enough time to prepare her to make the right one.
Raros, Sabine. Of course, we have no choice.
Sabine Wren will have the opportunity of finding us with Richard. And if she does, you and your master will destroy them both. Our primary objective is to escape this galaxy. It matters not whether Wren or Bridge are killed or stranded here.
Do you know Ezra Bridger? He's my friend.
I knew I could count on you. Though, sure took you long enough.
Another comes. A Jedi.
Could it be the reason you deceased the Sokatana?
Impossible.
I want to know her background, history, homeworld, her master, everything.
Yes, Matador.
If a Star Whaler approaches Perugia, describe with prejudice.
You and Ahsoka Tano are to return to Coruscant with the fleet. The Senate Oversight Committee is going to determine if your command should be permanently suspended.
Simply cannot allow a general of the New Republic Security Forces to go around acting like this is still a rebellion. This is a government, and it has rules and laws which General Syndulla seems to have no problem bending to her personal agenda.
My job is to protect the planet. And that is exactly what I was doing. In the best way I know how.
I see. You protected the New Republic by ignoring.
¿Qué código es este?
No, I protected the New Republic by ignoring you.
¿Qué necesitas? Tómalo con calma.
¿Qué tal?
She went with the enemy woman.
Impossible.
She was fated to make that.
We cannot allow a general of the New Republic Security Forces to go around acting like this is still a rebellion. This is a government, and it has rules and laws which General Syndulla seems to have no problem bending to fit her personal agenda.
My job is to protect the people of this republic. And that is exactly what I was doing. In the best way I know how.
I see. And you protected the New Republic by ignoring direct orders.
No, I protected the New Republic by ignoring you. Senator Ziano, can we at least agree that General Syndulla's actions brought to light that there was an incident on Satos?
An incident? Yes. But this report reads like a child's fairy tale. Jedi. False Jedi. Star Map. Star Whale. This thing counts. Honestly, are we to believe anything?
Morgan Elsrich was leading a coordinated effort by the Imperial Remnant.
Objection! Imperial Remnant. Such a sensational term. There is no proof of any coordination between the scattered and dwindling number of Imperial forces. What about the conflict on Mandalore? Exactly my point. Gideon was a warlord acting on his own. There's no proof of a greater conspiracy, and thus no immediate threat to this republic.
If Thrawn returns, that will change quickly.
If.
I don't know what frightens me more. The possibility of what might happen or your unwillingness to see it.
I'll tell you what I see. I see a general who abuses her authority for personal gain, and I will not stand for it.
I motion that General Syndulla be court-martialed for disobeying a direct order.
Pardon intrusion, but identification. I do not need to show you identification. I am Steve.
Here. Welcome. Why are you here?
Honored Chancellor, with respect, I'm here on behalf of Senator Leia Organa. May I speak?
By all means.
Thank you. The Honorable Senator Organa has become aware of an unfortunate situation and wishes to present this data transcript, which she hopes may resolve the matter.
I object in the strongest terms.
Thank you. As I was about to say, the transcript shows that Senator Organa personally sanctioned General Syndulla's reconnaissance mission to Cetos, being regrettably unaware that Senator Ziono had held a vote against such a mission. Without her.
This is preposterous. The court cannot admit evidence of this kind from a mere droid.
Yes, well, Senator Organa is willing to overlook the step that prompts me to address her concerns to her directly in her role as leader of the Defense Council.
Well, that seems to settle the matter. Unless you remain unsatisfied, Senator Ziono?
No, not just.
Court dismissed. Thanks.
Well, it is my pleasure and a pleasure to be of service, General Syndulla. Captain Taylor.
General Syndulla, might I have a word? Of course.
She did not.
She did. Eventually. Put your personal feelings aside and don't deny you have them. How real is the threat of Thrawn's return? We have to prepare for the worst. Not for the best.
Even Count Dooku. You can face any one of them on the battlefield. As your master, it's my responsibility to prepare you. So practice these forms often. At least more than I do. I won't always be there and look out for you. If we get separated or something happens, you need to be able to make it on your own. Don't be afraid. Remember what I taught you. Trust your instinct. I know.
Getting 20 more of these recordings. This is his last one.
Very thoughtful. To realize.
Did you need something?
I think the whales may be reaching the end of their journey.
That makes you think that?
According to my instruments, their speed is decreasing.
Once we drop out of hyperspace,
And how do you propose we do that? If we had indeed traveled to another galaxy, our star chart would be useless.
she came here with the enemy. To find the enemy where he finds me. Well, it's my style.
I would point out that you are assuming the star whales have brought us to the correct galaxy, that are in the same system or even the same planet where they terrain.
I think the odds are pretty good.
No, in fact, they're terrible. You never. Worst part is, I hope you are right.
I know you do.
This is it. We are exiting hyperspace now. Picking up a lot of interference.
Something's wrong.
I'm detecting multiple objects in our path.
Get up there.
Perhaps we are safer. At least the whales are providing some cover.